Hey, my name is Eric TC, and I'm here to take a look into each of the zodiac signs for the equinox that we're currently experiencing in 2020. To be specific, for the Northern Hemisphere, we're in a spring, but I think on a collective note, we're all experiencing something that we have not encountered before and are reaching a lot of limitations and also allowing us to reflect and to maybe fine-tune the way we've been doing things so that we can actually improve it in the future. Or maybe there's another way or alternative path that we're being asked to pursue. So today, without further ado, I'd like to take a deep dive into the cards, which I'll be using my actual self-published, self-illustrated tarot deck for those unfamiliar. That it's one of the passion projects of mine, that Shadowlight Tarot and Wanderlight Tarot, which I printed about 1,000 of. There's just a little bit left in my shop. For those interested, you can check it out in other videos, but for those who are familiar with that, awesome. For those who are unfamiliar, go explore that channel. But today we're going to take a look at the actual reading. So we're going to see a quick switch of a kaboo kazoo up in here, which shall improve this to here. Bring this up on the screen, and let's also dim this just slightly. Okay, so here we are. Let me find my stylus. Excuse me, as it is mysteriously, oh wait, found. So, I shall bring up here a look at each of the cards. So the way I actually want to express the zodiac, it's complicated because you got the sidereal look, then you got the Western astrology look, which is more about like the seasonal run, and then you got a clear look at the Vedic idea of how you got the actual accuracy of the stars, but at the same time too, the degree in which we're measuring things aren't in tune to the stars. Instead, I like to take a look at, let's look at the sectors of the sky and let's give them just a resonance. So today we're going to be looking at each of the zodiac resonances that exist within the sky. How you utilize that on your own personal level is something that you're going to have to dive into. So whether you're using it for a sun reading or maybe more your Venus or moon reading, I think each of us have our own planets that we can apply these archetypes with and see how this kind of energy is showing up in those areas of your life or where it's associated. So let's dive in quick to see that the first card we got going up right up here is Aries. So Aries, you have Temperance. Temperance card is always about balance. This is actually a major arcana card because this archetype is really strong in being able to take the very best of two opposing forces and to do it just right, where the exact measurement of getting this wrong could like be catastrophic, but it's all about that balance, and it's key to hit that point, because without that you'll either have too much and it'll go bad, or if you have too less and it's not enough to fulfill. So you got to be able to just take it and go with the flow of things. There's a lot of things that are faith guided in this message, and that's due to the fact because you have to allow yourself to see a bigger picture or higher power, because if we're able to take a sense of what we can do to bring balance, we need to see things from a larger perspective, because in which case then you can actually fine tune at maybe a lot easier perspective to see that how much of a scale you have in this versus that, or vice versa. So on my advice on that, to be clear and actually, as always, be in balance. Balance is going to be your key. So this is for the Aries that have an Aries sun, moon, rising, or Venus. However that applies to you, this energy and archetype is what you're going to be experienced. Moving on to Taurus. Taurus energy. Now, Taurus season is going to be like moving forward in actually a couple weeks from now. But what a lot of things is happening is probably maybe more of this 12th house note. But the thing is, a lot of things are happening fast. And this is also due to because your sector of the sky that is associated by this in Western astrology is showcasing that you have this whole Uranus spiel going without. Now the thing is, that's always unexpected, and if this card in particular here, this is the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is always going to be this rush card. It's this rush of energy. It's always going to happen so swift, so fast, and it's something that it kind of asks us to actually just move quickly, because it's just a motion of everything just happening all at once. And maybe we got to be on our best, because that best is being delivered so that we don't actually fall behind or end up in a position that just leaves us to fall and trip and short whoever it is that we may be supporting or assisting in our endeavors, however that may be. Because like this fast action motion is wanting us to not only just react not in a state of animalistic behaviors, but to do so consciously, so that we're not only swift, intuitive, but we have the instinct behind us while we have our conscious awareness moving forward. So moving on to Gemini, we have ourselves a nice looking, what was that? I have not the slightest idea. So we have ourselves the Queen of Swords. So this is about getting your message clear, putting it out there and making sure that you know where you stand with it. If you're this higher feminine energy for this sword archetype, which is associated with the air, the elements in which we process things, the way we allow communications to travel, in which we actually allow things to get back and forth from long distances. In this state of mind in which we're communicating, we're being so clear and actually probably to the point in which these swords are more associated to deliver something in which we are probably holding on to, or maybe it's been a while in which we've been able to actually reflect and get so clear on it that now we are able to express this in such a state of clarity that it not only opens something up, but it brings something that's internally within out into the open through translation of your own free will. Now that's something that I'd see as a very high Gemini aspect of things of going on. So if that card resonates with you, that's actually a pretty positive message, because it actually is in your own air element, which is a positive plus. So moving on from there, we have Cancer. So for the Cancerians out there, you have the Sun. The Sun card in the Cancer is always about the solstice, no matter how you want to look at it. But in this point in particular, the Sun is always about bringing light to and allowing yourself to shine right now. And I think right now everyone's in like a social distancing, and there's so much actually going on with the Capricorn archetype right now that Cancer is actually it's the tonic, it's the remedy, it's what we actually need right now, because it's giving all this light to counterbalance a lot of the stuff that's happening in the Capricorn sector of resonances. So when we see all this happening with planetaries and whatnot, we see the moon being able to be this nurturer, this moon of the Cancerian archetype, to bring about the home, to bring about the family, to nurture, to take care, to make sure all that's under wraps. And I think many of us right now are experiencing a lot of close-knit family and being in the home due to a lot of the circumstances that many people are seeing in the world. We are more akin to try to take care of those close to us. At the same time too, we're going to become so familiar with the home that this is going to bring a lot of light towards the home, and this is going to surface a lot of things in which we can take care of responsibly, clear out of the way, grow, and maybe even help develop something that's going to improve the family unit or the parts of the home that we are always connected to day in, day out. Because I'll tell you what, a happy home is a happy family. But even then, a happy home is a happy heart, because that's where it is, and that's where it counts for this Cancerian type of energy. So to move on from there, we got ourselves some Leo. So Leo, you got the Five of Cups here. The Five of Cups is always about trying to see how you got these three cups that just happen to just fall, they fell, they spilled, however you want to look at it, they're not what they were. And the thing is, you're so caught up at looking at these three cups in particular that you're missing out on the two cups that you still have behind you. So maybe there is a limelight in the stage in which you want to express yourself out there, but you're so focused on what is being taken away right now that there's a lot of things that are still blessings that you don't see moving forward. And because you're at this five element, the five element ain't the end of the road, because we got cycles, and cycles come through 1 to 9 and back and forward again. So when you're dealing with this Leo type of archetype, however you want to see it, there is always going to be a silver lining, but we got to recognize that maybe there's different stages of what we're going through and what we're developing as individuals. So maybe there's a moral of your story, or maybe there's something deeper to that that's rooted towards you or the experience that you're going through. Either way, you got to recognize that maybe if you're having a perspective that is looking at the pessimistic end of things, that even though this Aquarius energy that is very more focused and expansive and is polarized to this Leo energy, we need to realize that even though that's a big aspect of playing on the field of the stars right now, you yourself are still moving through an aspect of shining light, because maybe each an individual who can shine that Leo type of energy knows that that's something that can be willed out. It's something of a fire nature. So to be in such an emotional state requires you to have some form of connection or internal, conflict. So allow yourself the pacing necessary to move forward with that, so that you don't have to allow yourself to be caught up in the pessimism and let it dictate how you want to live your life. Moving on from there, we're going to have ourselves some Virgonian energy. So we want to see here a nice little Eight of Swords. And these Eight of Swords, okay, so the Eight of Swords is giving you this perspective that is very much, like I said in the earlier video, it's more about swords. So swords are this airy, communicative archetype, and when you're dealing with the Eight of Swords, it's always at a stage before completion, because right now the card itself depicts a person blindfolded, trying to navigate and not fall or not be cut by these swords that are all around. And right now it might be difficult to see on the other end of what you're going through. It might be actually a lot easier to turn within, but that doesn't change the state of confusion or the worries or even the concern that you might have for the external world around you. But you know what? Use this as an opportunity, no matter how you want to perceive this, as a means to be able to not only know yourself within, but to have trust, to have intuition, and to build that in a degree that's going to help you moving forward. Maybe you're great at taking this information, utilizing it at a routine source of view, and maybe there's a lot of ways that you could integrate a lot of it, but you need to actually be able to be okay with what you don't know, but to understand that what you have to work with might be enough and it might be necessary for you so that you can move forward. But to be so kindly and gentle so that you yourself can navigate the field while also discerning, learning through all the available senses that you have to your availability or, capable of. So I think it's a good positive message that even though things are going slow, that you're going to process a lot of good things that are going to take you where you want to be. So moving on from there, we got ourselves meeting up with the Libras. So Libras, you got yourself, moving forward with the same Swords archetype, we're dealing with, like I said, communication, messages, the way we process information, the way we think, the way we actually talk and connect with one another could also be a variable here. But for someone to receive the Knight of Swords, that means you're rushing through at such a pace that's kind of heavy. Maybe there are ways that you're connecting with individuals, or it's just things that are going on right now that it's happening very fast, but you're moving forward with it. Not with just clarity, but with the sharpness and intellect necessary to deal with a lot of things. As Libra itself is an air archetype, this archetype being overlaid for the Sword archetype, which is also air element, we're seeing this as a very boost to your own nature, in which you can utilize probably to your benefit, so that you yourself can actually express not only the ideas or the concerns to move forward with whatever it is that you're goal oriented by, but to do and take care of your responsibilities, your actions, the things that you want to at least express into the world and say and clarify. You can at least allow that. Oh, you guys are just so vocal. Sorry about that. So you guys can actually express that out into the world in a way that is not only concrete for you, but you actually are behind the words you're committing to. So that's awesome for you. So I'd say an advice for that, just don't go too far off the rails, but at the same time too, you understand that what you have to say is meaningful and it's something that you're moving forward with no matter what. So I guess rush ahead, but be cautious because you never know. But you're good. Anyway, so moving forward, we got the next sign of Scorpio. So Scorpions, we are dealing with the anxiety card, the Nine of Swords. Now, nines are always when you're having like a completion of a cycle, but that completion of a cycle is always akin to like having too much of something. So when you have too much swords, that's too much overthinking, that's too much anxiety, that's a lot of things that you're probably putting through your head and putting on your immune system that is likely unnecessary. This card could also mean you have difficulty sleeping, or it might be difficult for you to get that rest, to rejuvenate. Because you have so many things that are bothering you or affecting you, I think most of these things are existing within the mental realm. So when you're dealing with that, you want to actually reflect, express, and be able to get kind of like a distancing from the things that are bothering you, and maybe disconnect the things that aren't your responsibility or directly connected to you. You may have concerns, or you may have worries towards the way things may play out, but I think you need to be able to understand that you need to take care of yourself, and if it is necessary to get the extra sleep, or to give yourself a little extra energy so that you yourself can handle what is going on, and not to beat yourself up over anything, as well as do not let the anxiety, thoughts, and fears overrule you. It is only energy in which you can overcome, so allow that to be a lesson, and when you can be conscious and see yourself falling into it, utilize that as action to be proactive, and you'll grow out of that situation. So let's see. We are going to do one more thing here. We're on to Sagittarians. So Sagittarians here. Sorry, there's a dog barking outside at the moment. So Sagittarians, to begin, we have the High Priest card. So this is actually another major arcana card in the set. Tripping over my words here. A major arcana card in this set that we are depicting as more of this Taurian collective energy is this priest that is able to connect to a collective that then can assist them in their path moving forward. It's mostly a significant to religion or spirituality, and I think that's associated very much with the Sagittarian nature. These philosophies, these beliefs, these higher learnings that we can pass in a Sagittarian form is being expressed through many other individuals, so that it forms as the priest for others to comfort to, and to at least guide the collective as it's going through, no matter what situation's at hand. And there's a lot of knowledge out there that I think that can be provided to others. So serving others and being able to provide that information to help others grow and to form it at a collective focus will also be something that likely is going to be interpreted at the Sagittarian energy. So if you resonate with that, that's going to be awesome. So that you've got positive things there. There's nothing too much. I think you have a good solid state of what's going on from there. So for the last 3 signs, we're moving forward here. We got ourselves some Capricorn. So with Capricorn, we are pretty much, let's say, you're looking out at the world with this 2 of Wands energy, and you want to see what is ahead of you. And I think with the Capricorn energy, you want to make sure that you can cover your ass when you possible. And that efficiency is always going to be a part of that Capricorn energy, because that's how you get to the highest mountain or how you get to the lowest depth. And I think that the degree that you can actually figure that out is going to be helpful. So getting a good sense of where things are going requires you to actually be in a position. Maybe you can have one place where you can understand where you're going through the idea of a map or a globe or where you're at. But at the same time, too, you can also rise above to see the directions of how things are playing out in your locality, because in that sense, you can actually deal with what's coming your way and utilize that kind of ahead of assertiveness to deliver a lot of kind of good intuitive connections that may actually serve you down the line. So it might be something to invest in, might be something to consider, and hey, it might serve to be actually very beneficial for you to get a good sense of what's coming ahead, so that when things do unravel, that you're in a good position to take care of it all. So to go beyond that, we got Aquarius. So Aquarians, this energy here is more about a reflective sword energy. There's so much swords right now. And I think there's a lot of stuff that's being thought in the collective, because there's just so much being kept in, or there's a lot that needs to be expressed. And the Aquarian energy is always being about connected to that collective, because it speaks about how that is always intertwined in like this higher way in which we recognize the air aspect in which the skies carry the rain, and then they can unleash the storms upon us, while at the same time too allowing the rays of the sun to provide the drought. This way of modality in which it all exists in plays a bigger role on a collective scale on how it all interacts. So to have something of this state, you're in a 4 of swords. That mental state, you want to be able to reflect, clear, and just breathe throughout. This is maybe more of a time where you're just trying to just reflect of where you've been and use that clarity to just like recognize and be present. It's about getting the rest necessary right now for the journey ahead, because you've gone where a lot of people have probably felt internally at a collective level, and it's happening individually for you. And with a lot of things that are occurring in Aquarius right now, there's a lot of energy being focused there. And when you're going to deal with that, sometimes being that overwhelmed, we need to rest, because rest is important so that we can actually perform at our best at the right time, right place. So with all that said, we're going to move on to the Pisces energy here. Pisces. So to wrap this all up, you've got the High Priest. And for the Pisces energies, we're looking at a resonance that's very known for this ethereal, very connected, not only to the existence of the non-earthly. So it's not about physical, it's about that spiritual, it's about what lays beyond, what is not tangible, that of the dreams, that of the imagination, that of the spirit. It's not in this moment here, but it's rather seeing what can exist out there and seeing the farthest depths of what can be, not in the sense of a Sagittarian discovery, but in the sense of this peaceful quietness is so content. So what is all out there is all internal. So it's not something that is very physically focused. And when you're dealing with the High Priest card, which is an Arcana card, this is very much saying connect to your intuition. You're divinely guided. You have what is necessary to move forward. And the way that you are connected to spirit, that you are receiving your information, that you utilize the tools around you, or any other form of divination or metaphysical interactions. These things are always going to be powerful ways that we can not only connect with the world that's unseen, but do so in a way that provides gifts that is from this aspect of God, of always giving, of always putting that out there. Because when we act intuitively, there's an aspect of us that is so authentically true that it carries forth almost a form of universe, fulfilling the need and desire for what that role may be. So take that as you will, and overall, this is a great sense of everything that's happening. So if you've tuned in and if it resonates with you, please leave a comment below. If this is something that you'd like to see more of, I might dabble with it, but this is just something I'm just seeing in the world and want to express on. For those of you who are interested in my tarot deck, there will be information below about my studio, and for the remaining decks that are available, you can purchase them from my shop, and I ship them from myself. So hey, it's my artist passion. You want to support my art for the future decks that are being built, please be my guest as I continue to work on the things that are magically in wonders. So thank you again for tuning in, and I hope this message really truly helped for those who are willing to tune in and listen. As always, stay true, and we got a whole new journey ahead of us, so be optimistic, because there's a lot ahead of us that we got so much to look forward to. So until then, enjoy and take care.